could have everyone kindly take their seats, please. We're going to begin service.
Okay.
Before we get started, anyone has a cell phone, please turn it off or silence it. Ashrei ha'ish asher lo holach va'atzas v'shoyim u'v'derech hatoyim lo yomad u'v'meishav leitzim lo yoshav. Ki im b'soiris hadinoi cheftzei v'sorosei yehege yoma v'loylo v'hoyi ke'et shosu al palgei moyim asher pirya yite bi'itoim v'alehu lo yiboil v'chol asher yaseh yatzliach. Loi chen harashoyim ki im kamoitz asher tidifenu ruach al kein lo yakumu rashoyim b'mishpat v'chatoyim ba'adat tzadikim ki yodei adinoi derek tzadikim v'derek rashoyim toived. Praised is the man who does not go in the counsel of the wicked, nor stand in the path of sinners, nor sit in the seat of scorners. Rather his delight is in the Torah of God, and in God's Torah he meditates day and night. He shall be like a tree planted by streams of water that brings forth its fruit in its season, and whose leaf does not wither. In all what he does he will prosper. Not so the wicked. They are like the chaff which the wind drives away. Therefore the wicked will not stand up in judgment, nor the sinners in the assembly of the righteous. For the Eternal One recognizes the way of the righteous, and the ways of the wicked shall perish. Mizmor LeDavid. Adinoi mi yogor b'holecha, mi yushkoim b'har kodshecha, holech tomi mufayel tzedek v'doi ve'emes b'levavoi, le'rogol al l'shoinei le'oso l'reihu ra'ah v'cherepo le'noso al kiroivoi. Nivzo be'enov nimos, ves yirei adinoi yichabed, nishbo lahoro v'lo yomir, kaspe le'nosam b'neshek, v'shochad al noki le'lokach, oise eile lo yimoit le'oilam. A psalm by David. O Lord, who may abide in your holy temple? Who may dwell upon your holy mountain? He who walks blamelessly, acts justly, and speaks truth in his heart, who has no slander on his tongue, who has done his fellow man no evil, who brought no disgrace by his deeds upon his relatives, and whose eyes a despicable person is abhorrent, but he honors those who are God-fearing, who does not change his oath, even if it is to his own detriment, who does not lend his money at interest, nor accept a bribe against the innocent. He who does these things shall not falter forever. Mizmor LeDavid. Adinoi roi loyexor b'ne'ois deshe yabitheni, al mei menuchos yinaleni, nafshi yishoivev yancheni v'magalei tzedek l'man shemoi, gam ki yelek b'geitz al moves lo iro ro ki ato imodi. Shivtecho mishantecho hemo yinachamuni, tarek lefonai shulchan neged tzereroi, dishanto v'shemen reishi koisi revoyo, ach toi v'chesed yidafuni kol yemei chayoi, v'shavti beveis adinoi le'orech yomim. A psalm by David. The Lord God is my shepherd, I shall lack nothing. In lush meadows he lays me down, beside tranquil waters he leads me. He restores my soul, he directs me in the paths of justice for the sake of his name. Even if I will walk in the valley overshadowed by death, I shall fear no evil, for you are with me. Even your rod of affliction and your staff of support will comfort me. You prepare a table for me even before my oppressors. You have anointed abundantly my head with oil, and my cup overflows. May only goodness and kindness pursue me all the days of my life, and cause me to dwell in the house of the eternal God for the length of all days. We're here today to bring Reb Gershon Brudnoy, Sholem Leib Gershon ben Avraham Aharon, to his final resting place. It was a shock for me and for many others, unexpected. Reb Gershon held a very, very special heart in the many, many people. He was very, very beloved in the Shul Tzemach Tzedek. There will be a lot of people here, but the time is very difficult in the middle of the day, and I'm sure that they'll be coming and visiting the family at the home. But Reb Gershon was born in July of 1922. In July, he would have turned 95 years old. And he was the son of very religious parents. They lived in Belarus, Russia. And he was the second child. He was the second from his older sister. His father was a very religious man. And he studied. He wanted to be a rabbi. That's the direction he was going, but he could never put it into practice because of the revolution that took place in his days. Reb Gershon, he went to Cheder, where they lived in a small shtetl in Belarus, and he went there to Cheder till he was in the 4th grade, where at that time then the government closed it. The government started closing the Chedorim, the Jewish schools, and then he had to go to a larger city, and we stayed there by his relatives where he continued his education in the public system, and he graduated high school there, and eventually was drafted into the army at 18 years old. In the military, when he was there, they trained him in engineering sorts of things. It wasn't like he should be straight away was going to be a soldier to go into battle. They saw he had certain limitations and certain qualities, and they put him in things that would be studying engineering. They also taught him how to disable mines. And this is one of the things that eventually injured him very seriously when they were retreating, moving the oncoming German forces that were coming across the Polish border into Russia, that they were retreating, and in trying to disable one of the mines, one of these mines exploded, and he got very, very seriously injured. And he was sent to a hospital, and at that time, they sent eventually to a hospital in Siberia. And the reason why it was all the way in Siberia, even though there was nowhere where they were, was because of the concern of the oncoming German armies. This was away from all of the battle and the threat, and that's where he was, and he was there for a very long time. And when he was sent to this hospital there, during his recovery and shortly afterwards, he began to continue his studies. There was a Moscow Aviation University that relocated from Moscow over to Siberia because of the concern of the German armies coming. So now, because it was there in Siberia, he started to now attend this university there in Siberia and started to study engineering. At that time also, when he was actually rejoined with his parents, who they didn't even know that he was alive because they had to be relocated and they went to Siberia from where they were. They didn't know he was there. And after he got better and he recovered, he was able to discover his parents, and they were reunited there. He graduated from that university that returned back to Moscow later after the war when things quieted down. And he continued there, and he graduated with a degree in mechanical engineering in 1948. Also there in the university is where he met his dear wife, Freda, who was also a student there, and also becoming a mechanical engineer. Mechanical engineering apparently is very big in Russia. And they were both mechanical engineers, and they met there and during that time. And they married in 1949. Shortly later, after getting married, they moved to Sizrani to work as engineers in a heavy machine manufacturing plant. And in 1950 is when Jan was born, and his son Jan, and 2 years later, his daughter Irene. In Sizrani there, when they got settled, they then were able to bring, he was able to bring his parents. His father and mother came from Siberia to come to live in Sizrani together with them. And Gershon's father, when he was there in Sizrani, was the one who made a minyan in the house for every Shabbos. And this was one of the centers of Yiddishkeit, was in their home, that his father, Gershon's father, was making sure should happen while they were there in Sizrani. From there, they moved to Voronezh to work in a similar manufacturing plant there. And there, the Jews in that community also, there was a lot of Jewish people there, organized a minyan among themselves. And Reb Gershon always attended that minyan. When he was in Sizrani, though, before leaving, his father had passed away. And later, while they were in Voronezh, his mother passed away, and this was a very big loss to Reb Gershon. It was very hard on him. He was a very dear and devoted son. He was very close with his mother, and her passing took a very big toll on him. When he was there, he would sometimes have to go, Reb Gershon would have to go to the big cities. He would go to Leningrad, to go to Moscow. They had to get certain certifications and approvals for certain projects they were doing in the city. And whenever he went there, he would always attend the synagogue. There in the big cities, in Leningrad and Moscow, there was established synagogues there. He would always go there and attend and be there. Wherever he was always connecting himself with his Yiddishkeit and with the Jews there. And it was Pesach time when he would be there. He would bring back matzahs back to where they were staying in Voronezh in order to have matzahs for Pesach. So he had on his mind to make sure to have whatever provisions also to bring back to everyone. In 1985, 86 is eventually where Reb Gershon retired. And he retired, he went to the big cities, he went to Leningrad. And he was very active in the shul when he went there. So here, now that he retired, he's in the big city, there's a shul, he's not really working. So where did he dedicate himself to? He was going to the synagogue all the time. He was getting very, very involved into Yiddishkeit. And when he come to the States, and then eventually he was there in Leningrad until 1989, when he came to the United States. Throughout all the years that Reb Gershon's family were in Russia, the years of Stalin, Brezhnev, Khrushchev, whoever the communist leaders were, it never fazed him in the slightest. And he always celebrated Shabbos, every single Shabbos, all of the holidays, and he was always instilling in his kids, his children, the connection with Yiddishkeit the whole time, during the whole communist regime. He did not let faze him at all. And we saw that when he came here, the spirit of Reb Gershon, all those who were near him saw that and felt that. He never worked on Yom Kippur when he was in Russia. He fasted every Yom Kippur. And the kids remember he was always listening to the Kol Yisroel radio program when they were in Russia. And he would always express to his children, his gratitude to Hashem that the Jewish people were able to have Eretz Yisrael. And he instilled in them a tremendous and a strong Jewish identity through that, by always talking about it. In 1989, when he came with his wife, and he brought Irene, and his daughter Irene, and Irene's daughter, Lena, to Cleveland. They came. The second day they came, they met the Kazans. The Kazans came to their apartment where they were staying, straight away, second day. And from that point on, Tzemach Tzedek, the shul, became like his second home. He was going there all the time. All the services and the gewaltige connection he made with Rabbi Kazan, we all know how close he was with the Kazans. 2 years later, in 1991, Jan came with his wife Maya and her parents and their daughter Julia. Reb Gershon was very happy when they came, and he did all that he could to help get them settled in when they arrived here. He was very, very extremely happy. Now he had the whole family united together here with him. And he's, as I said, he was a very devoted son. He had a tremendous connection with his mother, and they saw that, how devoted he was to his mother in an extraordinary way. And he was a very dedicated father, and he was always reminding and encouraging them with their Jewish identity, and he stressed education. They should get a good education, and they should be ambitious. They should have a lot of ambition. And throughout all the years, Russia, here in the United States, he, every single Friday, or if time didn't work, Thursday, he would contact the children and the grandchildren, and he would call them to wish them a good Shabbos, and he would tell them what time candle lighting was, to light Shabbos candles Friday night. He made a point to tell them, and if they didn't answer the phone, he left his whole greeting, his whole message on the answering machine, that they should all hear it. And they remember it, and they have even saved some of those messages. When he came here, there was also a whole other phase that was able to come out from Reb Gershon. What was that? He was always interested in Yiddish culture. Anything Jewish. Anything Yiddish, he was interested. So when he came here in the United States, and you had the Yiddish culture things, you had the JCC, you had the Workman's Circle, they had these things, they would have plays. He got very involved in that also. This served as a whole new outlet for him to be able to express himself. The Purim spiels they used to make over there, he got involved. He was very, very much into anything that was Jewish, he can get himself involved with. That was his outlets. And something we all know, he was saying Kaddish all the time. By every service that he attended, he always was saying Kaddish. And he was saying Kaddish for his family members from years back, and also the soldiers who were friends of him who lost their lives. He never forgot anybody. This was a person who stayed connected. Zichra Yemeis Oilam, remember the days of old, was a person that he always did this. He was always staying connected, and he lived with it, that by every single service he was always saying Kaddish. And he said it in his special way, the way that he would say it, mit a chayes, mit a tiefkeit, with a depth, a feeling that was from this neshama that he had, this special quality that he had. You know, till just recently, in a matter of a short time ago, he used to call up and talk to people in Russia that they should take care of the graves of the family in Russia. And he would send money for people to take care of it. This was another example how he always stayed connected, never forgot, and was always doing what he can to put input, to have an effect, to have a change. Every year he would come, even in this past Erev Yom Kippur, 2016, Reb Gershon always came to Kapporis by Tzemach Tzedek. You know, with Kapporis, Erev Yom Kippur, you take the chicken, you wave the chicken around, you watch the chicken get slaughtered before Yom Kippur, preparing to do tshuva. He came this past year, 2016, schlepping, coming. This was a person dedicated, still. And I remember, 2 weeks ago, this past Sunday, I was actually going to go to visit him. He wouldn't have been able to probably see him, but the week before I went to visit him, and we were talking. He was so much himself, and I used to talk to him when he used to come to shul. Everybody in the shul, he was come to shul. He would make his drushes. He'd come with his papers. He had written out in Yiddish, all prepared, a drusha, a whole little dvar Torah, word of Torah, something he was going to say about the parsha for everybody to hear. And he would start singing. He would lead the singing, and everybody would join in. He had more chayis, more energy than all the younger chevra, than the young guys in the shul. He had more energy. That he was energizing everybody. He was a person, his presence, when he was around, it put everybody besimcha. He greeted everyone very, very special, in a very, very special way. I was speaking with Rabbi Kotner in Menorah Parkway, who was there, and the same thing was there. In the shul, he was one of the regulars. He davened every single day in the shul. Shacharis in the morning service, came in the afternoon. Unless he wasn't feeling well, he would go there. He would greet people. There was one elderly man there also not doing so great, Mr. Weinstein, and he would have his attendant wheel him over to this gentleman specifically to go and shake his hand and give him a shalom aleichem and say brocha v'hatzlacha. He would always say this term, brocha v'hatzlacha, blessings and success. Why? He heard that this is something the Lubavitcher Rebbe used to say. And he had the schus himself. There was a whole group from Cleveland that Rebbetzin Kazin brought, and he went to Crown Heights, and he went personally up to the Rebbe. He was privileged to go up to the Rebbe. He got $1 from the Rebbe and brachas. He spoke a little bit with the Rebbe. The Rebbe gave a bracha. The Rebbe said bracha v'atzlocha. So he did the same thing. He would always say to everyone, bracha v'atzlocha, and he would wave to the rabbis in Menorah Park, and everyone, he was always giving brachas. This is a person who was oozing, coming out of him, Yiddishkeit, and always staying connected. At the age of 83, he was finally able to fulfill a great desire he always had. What was that? He always wanted to go to Eretz Yisrael. He wanted to go to Israel. So the family took him. They went on a whole special trip to Eretz Yisrael, to Israel. It's by the Kosel. And so when he went to Israel, so in Israel he expected, when he was going there, when you're going through the customs, you're entering into the soldiers there, and they're going to question you. Who are you? What are you coming? He was all ready to give him all the answers and tell him, I waited so long for this. He was ready to answer them and tell them, you got the best guy here. I've been waiting all the time. They didn't even let him talk. They just said, keep going. They saw right away who they were dealing with, and they said straight through. And the rest of the family had to do all the questioning. What are you doing? Where are you coming from? So on and so forth. But for him, they gave him the green light straight away. They saw straight away who they were dealing with, this special neshama that was coming here to visit Eretz Yisrael, the land of Israel. And for him, that was a tremendous thing. And he also had cousins in Eretz Yisrael. So he was able to see and greet his cousins that also lived in Israel at that time. And as I mentioned, he was in Menorah Park for 3.5 years. And everybody got to know him there also, saw this special person, was a religious man, a God-fearing person, his connection. Hashem should help that something Reb Gershon used to speak about, always he says about Mashiach coming. Mashiach should come speedily. We should have finally the gullus, the exile behind us, have all of our loved ones back with us, be back, and it should be speedily in our days, and we should see no more suffering and no more tears, no more sorrow, only the best for everyone in the family, and especially to his grandchildren, his great-grandchildren. They should all be able to be, he should be a Melitz Yosha for them, a good better, good petitioner on high for them, for all of the children, for Jan and for Irene and their families, Julia, and for for Lena, they and their children. They should see and keep up the traditions that he worked so hard for, that he was Moisa Nefesh for, and especially Shabbos candles. Shabbos candles is something that was very dear to him. This will be a great tribute to him, to be strong and making careful to observe lighting Shabbos candles. No, we're going to ask Jan. Jan, you come up and save.
Thank you, Rebbe, for your words. My name is Jan. I am Gershon's son. Today we are here to commemorate my father, Sholem Leib Gershon ben Avramam Aaron passing. Our dad was our father, our role model for life. He meant everything to us, and we always remember his energy, his love for life. He lived life full of miracles and hardship. Born in 1922 in Belarus, he fought in World War II, but survived and went to Moscow Aviation University, where he met my mother. They started family, moved to the small city on Volga River, where I and my sister Irene were born. My dad had a great deal of faith in God. He tried to keep Jewish tradition in spite of environment and this time that was not good, not only for Jews, especially for religious ones. We remember so many wonderful times together around Passover and New Year meals. He passed along the strong sense of Jewish identity and pride. He never stopped learning Torah. He was an active member of International Yiddish Club, went to Yiddish conference in Cleveland, San Diego, Pittsburgh. 3 years ago, he was hospitalized with lung problem and lived in Menorah Park. But his love for life and belief in God helped him to endure. He has wonderful sister, Alla and Elena, that help him a lot to be independent and active when in Menorah. I and my sister love our dad. The dad gave us everything, and dad deserved to reward it, but Almighty in the heaven together with mom, dad's sister, and his parents. The Kaddish, the Jewish prayer for morning, speak of peace. And its closing, there are words that our hearts find a measure of comfort. Oseh shalom bimramav, hoaseh shalom, aleinu vel kol Israel v'imro amen. That we will always love you. May you go in peace.
So the family will be receiving, the interment's going to be in Mount Olive, and the family will receive from today through Thursday until 8 p.m. at the residence of Reb Gershon's daughter, Irene Shulga, Dr. Irene Shulga, and Robert Burke, at 2729 Edge Hill Road. That's between Coventry Boulevard and Newcastle Heights Boulevard and Cleveland Heights. And any contributions that people would like to make in honor of Reb Gershon, in his memory, can be made to Menorah Park and Congregation Tzemach Tzedek and the Cleveland Kosher Food Bank. Before we cut Kriya, we're going to say the Kel Moli Rachamim, the memorial prayer. Please, everyone, rise. Ehel mole rachamim, shoichein meroimim, hametzei menucha nechoino, al kanfei ashchino, b'malus hakadoshim utahorim, kizohar harakia mazirin, es nishma sholem leib gershon ben Avraham Aroin, sheholach lolamoi, Bavur shebli neder yitnu tzedok v'araskores nishmosoi, bigan Eden tehei menuchosoi, lochein bal horachamim, yastireu b'seisov kanofov leilomim, v'yitzror b'tzoror rachayim es nishmosoi, adinoi hu nachalosoi, v'yanuach al mishkovo v'sholom, v'noimar omein. O God, full of compassion, who dwells on high, grant perfect rest upon the sheltering wings of your presence, among the holy and pure who shine as the brightness of the firmament, unto the soul of Sholem Leib Gershon ben Avraham Grigory Brudnoy, whose soul has gone unto to his eternal world, and whose memory charity is offered bli neder. May his repose be in paradise. May the Lord of mercy shelter him with the covering of his wings, and let his soul be bound up in the bond of eternal life. May the Lord be his possession, and may his repose be in peace. Amen. Everyone may be seated.